Our kids are awesome. Going into this game, I was looking forward to seeing all these youth players that we've been hearing so much about. You know, the likes of Cade Gordon, Matthias Misalowski, along with the likes of the talents that we've already seen, like Kelleher and obviously Curtis Jones. Because it's one thing to see them in a highlight video, it's another entirely to see them in an actual game, especially against Premier League opposition. And me, they didn't disappoint.
Sorry, y'all, but try not to let it sting too bad. You got third.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Misalowski, of course, who I've done a video about, which I'll leave a link to below if you want to watch it. And obviously, it's a shame Harvey Elliott's out too, who's arguably our next best young player after Trent. But seeing so many of the others play such a pivotal role in beating a Premier League side 3-0, it really does give you hope for the future. I said in my video about Misalowski that if Klopp and the board seem happy with the first team that we've got and not need major reinforcements, then I want to see the squad populated with some of these top young talents we have coming through to start building the framework for the next Liverpool team once this current one has had its day, which is what all the best managers have done in times gone by to sustain success.
Always thinking.
I mean, normally Premier League managers don't get the chance to implement their kind of forward thinking and forward planning as they get sacked very quickly and easily, so they need instant results or they're gone. But once Klopp won the Champions League and then the Premier League right after it, he pretty much secured his job and now has the luxury to think longer term. Promoting Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones into the first team instead of buying a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum and Xherdan Shaqiri seems to have been an inspired choice, although obviously Harvey's injury has thrown a spanner in the works. But although us fans do think one or two more solid first team options from the transfer market are required, it does still indicate that the club are now thinking longer term by promoting youth, and thankfully last night proved we've got many more coming through who could make the grade.
Hey guys, you ever seen that really old movie? Empire Strikes Back?
Jesus, Tony, how old is this guy?
I don't know, I didn't carbon date him, he's on the young side.
Obviously the standout performances were Origi and Minamino, who scored, who I'll come back to in a minute though. But Kelleher and Cade Gordon also impressed last night. Cade Gordon's confidence and his movement are excellent signs of what could come if he keeps working and keeps improving. He didn't seem out of place playing to the pace of a game against Premier League opposition, and although he didn't manage to have many standout chances to score, he did do well feeding a couple of decent through balls through to the other two forwards and creating decent chances. He isn't afraid to take players on either, which might just come down to the cockiness of youth, but when you can pull it off, it's bound to have a great effect on your confidence levels at that age.
Great kid, don't get cocky.
I'm talking about a great effect on your confidence levels. Kelleher saving that penalty must have put that kid on cloud 9. He's done really well every time he's played for us now, and he really could become a good goalkeeper for us in the future. My only concern for him is that Alisson's still relatively young for a goalkeeper. He's 28, soon to be 29 in October, and as we all know, goalkeepers usually last a little longer than our outfield players, so it's whether Kelleher can stay happy on the bench for the next 4 or 5 years.
Don't worry, I've got it under control.
So the game started quite well for us. We dominated early possession and instantly started applying pressure, and it paid off within 5 minutes as Minamino latched on brilliantly to a header in from Origi off a corner. He turns and fires home from close range, which got us off to a great start. After that, it was all us, and in what seems to be standard procedure for Liverpool lately, no 3-0 win would be complete without an abundance of corners. Is it just me, or has anyone else noticed how many corners we've been having lately? It's just weird. Anyway, the rest of the half was rather uneventful until towards the end when Norwich began to find some confidence, had a couple of half-decent chances before forcing a penalty from what can only be described as a bit of inexperience from young Conor Bradley. I mean, look, the ball's bobbling in the air and there's a play between you and the ball. You don't commit to a high kick like that. Their play is just going to go looking for contact and move into your in-swinging leg, which is exactly what happened.
You dozy little twonk, Rodney.
But up steps Kelleher to save the day. Fair play, lad. The second half starts as the first one does with an early goal. This time Origi heading home from a cross from Tsimikas, who's starting to look like adequate cover at fullback now, as his attacking side of the game is getting better and better each time he plays. But apart from the third goal, which I'll come on to in a minute, the rest of the half was pretty dry apart from 1 or 2 of our lads not taking their chances. Ox could have taken complete control of this game, dictated everything from midfield and definitely should have got on the score sheet, but apart from a few missed chances in this half, he was barely noticeable in the game at all. Curtis Jones had a fair chance towards the end where he found himself in acres of space in the box but fluffed his chance and put it over. And it has to be said, Kanate was proving really dominant in the air, especially when we had corners, but although he's dominating in the air like Van Dijk does, he can't seem to hone this advantage the way Van Dijk does, but hopefully that will come in time. Cade Gordon setting up Origi, who missed, was another notable chance, but finally we buried the game in the 79th minute with a second goal from Minamino.
That's it, Brucey!
Minamino had the game of his Liverpool career yesterday, but I hope this is the start of an upsurge in his form because I personally gave up on him making a name at Liverpool. He hasn't done anything wrong since joining us, but he hasn't done anything noteworthy either. I'm a big believer in giving players time, no less than 6 months before you start making judgments on them, but he's been here for plenty of time now, and I was all for us selling him during the summer transfer window just gone, but we didn't, and now he's had a good game, so hopefully this is where he starts proving that he belongs at Liverpool.
I do!
I do.
Anyway, into the 4th round we go. Draws tonight after the United West Ham game, which has probably already happened by now. And you may have been wondering why I beat out all the swear words in my video today. A very dear friend of mine who shall remain nameless rather foolishly let his young lad watch one of my videos, and I did nothing but effing blind at the beginning, and he wasn't exactly amused. So this is a PG cop hoodie video, and if you're watching this time, Noel, tell your dad he's being soft, but tell your mum I said sorry too. Little Noel and his dad are Sunderland fans for the record, and I'm going to use this as an excuse to mention that I have a lot of mates from Sunderland. I lived there for a few years, and now that I'm doing a football channel, I am dying for Liverpool to play Sunderland, because by God, I'll have some fun doing that video. I wouldn't go so far as to call it like a personal derby or anything like that, because I actually like seeing Sunderland do well, which I obviously don't feel for Everton, of course, despite having blue friends and family like the rest of you watching probably do. But I was living there when Sunderland got to the League Cup final against City the other year, and they beat Chelsea in the Manx along the way, and they beat their rivals Newcastle a record 6 times in a row, including 2 3-0 away wins, which was honestly amazing to be living in Sunderland around that time. I still remember that moment when they beat United at Old Trafford in the semi-final on penalties. It was obviously easy for me to celebrate that despite it not being Liverpool, and I felt I could share that moment with them properly, and by God did I enjoy that night. I was watching it in a bar called Tonic in Sunderland City Centre with 1 or 2 of my mates who didn't go to Old Trafford, and honestly it was the best non-Liverpool football night of my life, and I include England in that too. Sunderland took like 16,000 fans to Old Trafford for that semi-final, and the boss part was, because it resulted in their first major final in like forever, after the game everyone left in Sunderland just partied until the early hours, until they finally realised, we're in work in a few hours, we better go home. But it was around that time when town started calming down that the buses from Manchester just started arriving back, and the party went right back into full swing again. It was honestly a boss night, and considering I was feeling a little down for missing all of Liverpool's big nights during my time in the North East, like I missed the 13-14 campaign for example when we nearly won the league, and Klopp's first season when we reached the Europa League final, beating Dortmund and United along the way, and the League Cup final against City that we lost. But it was my mates up there in Sunderland and nights like that that really made up for it. In Sunderland they will always hold a special place for me. I'd give anything for us to draw them in the next round, or better yet for them to get back in the Premier League. Maybe a job for Stevie G, who we all know really has to come and prove himself in England first before he can take us over. Honestly, I'd give anything in the world for Stevie to take over at Sunderland, but he's doing fine where he is for now, and only he'll know what he does next. Anyway, I've waffled on enough. I just wanted you guys to know, if and when we do play Sunderland, you be sure to tune into this channel first, because trust me, it'll be a fun video for you. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm a new channel at this point, so any and all traffic and interactions are very much appreciated. If you're already subscribed, thanks again for the support. It does mean the world to me, but for the love of God, don't let your kids watch my videos unattended and without a buzzer. Anyway, take care lads and lasses, let's hope we draw someone interesting tonight. Until then, see you in the next video. Ta-ra.